Brendan,
Yeah.
what do I need to build a raised bed? A drill, whatever you call it.
That.
How do I cut the pieces?
With that.
Do I have to?
I'll show you how it works.
What's it called again?
Chop saw.
A chop saw. Not for you, Chug.
So this slide, push down, pull this, comes up.
That's too many steps.
This tightens it. Pull this, hold it up. You can slide it left and right. Put it on 0. Tighten it. Safety, trigger.
I asked you a huge favor.
Yeah, I can do it.
I will do the cutting, but can you set it up for me?
Okay.
It's gonna be 90% done by me. Brendan will just set it up. I don't like the idea of blood or flesh getting cut. We just like to minimize all risk. Smell something good? Okay, I'm gonna speed things up and show you step by step how I built this raised bed. First, I took some measurements from the site I knew I wanted to put my raised bed in. I had an image of what I wanted it to look like, something long and narrow and kind of tall. Then I measured the scrap pieces of wood that I had and tried to piece together in my mind how it would all come together. I believe most of these scrap pieces are either cedar siding or cedar 1x6 boards. I started off cutting some Douglas fir 2x4s for the corner posts because that's what seemed the most straightforward. I just had to figure out how tall I wanted the raised bed to be and measure out 4 lengths of that. I think I ended up making them about 2 feet tall. Then I went back to thinking about what pieces I was going to use for the long end. To be honest, this is probably what took me the longest time. Sometimes it's difficult for me to move forward with a project if I can't clearly see all the steps I need to take. There weren't any boards long enough to use on their own for what I had originally wanted. Even when I decided it would be fine with a bed that wasn't as long, there were only 2 boards that length, and I knew I wanted my bed to be at least 2 boards tall. So I needed 4 long pieces altogether. So I cut 2 of the boards to 6.5 feet, the length of the bed that I had settled on, and then I decided to join some of the shorter boards together to create that 6.5 feet. I think these first 2 that I joined together were 5 foot and 1.5 foot. I actually should have done this the other way around because I want the connecting board on the inside of the bed and I don't want any risk of that sharp end of the screw poking out from the outside. I use a drill with a 3/32 drill bit to pre-drill the boards and reduce the likelihood of the wood on the edges splitting when the screw goes in, before using the driver to get in the 1.25 inch exterior wood screws, 2 on each side. For the second one, I joined a 5.5 foot board with a 1-foot-long board. I put the connecting piece underneath this time so I could screw in from the top and keep the outside smooth, but I got a little impatient with the pre-drilling and went in directly with the screws. Oops, I guess I learned my lesson there. Now that I have all of the boards the length I need them, it's time to start putting everything together. I set things out just so I could see how it all goes together and then figured it would be easiest to do the short ends first. I set the corner posts down and then laid the 1.5 foot cedar boards on top of the short ends of the 2x4s. I tried to get it all as straight as possible before pre-drilling this time, and then screwing them in. I repeated the process for another board and then did the same for the other end wall. I guess I could have stacked one more board to make the end walls taller, but I can always add on later. Next, I have to figure out how I'm going to screw these long boards onto the ends and have it all be straight. I propped it all up as if the raised bed were lying on its long side and then drilled in from the top. I did 4 screws for each corner in kind of a square this time to have it be more sturdy and to prevent the board from pushing outwards and away from the post when it's filled with soil. And again, I just repeated the process until all 4 of the long boards were put in place. After getting the now completed frame in place, I tore up some of the cardboard we had lying around the house and lined the bottom of the raised bed with it. Then I grabbed a wheelbarrow full of wood chip from the front yard. We got a free delivery of it from a local arborist, and I started to fill it in.
Oh, looks good.
Okay, how would you rate it?
Looks like a coffin.
But you think I did a good job?
Yeah, it looks better than mine.
Shug, you think I did a good job?
I think that was yes.
I put cardboard down. I'm gonna fill most of it with wood chip. All this wood chip we got. I'm trying to take the big pieces of wood chip and put that at the bottom. And then I'll put a little bit of compost and then maybe get some raised bed soil. Put on top.
Could straighten it with a couple of posts in the middle.
Yeah, you think I should? It is pretty tall.
I don't know, do you think if you load this up with soil it's gonna bow? Oh, you use 2 more 2x4s.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that one didn't.
It kind of did, and that one's pretty shallow. Low. Yeah, I can use some of the scrap 2x4s. It doesn't have to go all the way to the top.
It's like 50 pounds of snow in the winter.
Ugh. Yeah, some wet soil, that is going to make it bow, maybe.
A lot of shims. I'm going to go back to the store and get some shims.
Okay. Maybe another Red Bull for tomorrow.
Okay.
2 Red Bulls. Chugach, leave it. Out. Good boy. Just because I'm doing this all myself doesn't mean I should close myself off to any helpful outside information. So, with Brendan's helpful feedback, I decided to strengthen the long walls and screw in some of the extra 2x4 pieces I had from my cuts earlier. In hindsight, I actually should have gone in with another 1.5 foot board on the bottom to connect the 2 2x4s in the middle that I put, and that would have really prevented it from bowing out. I think I still might actually do that if it gets too bad. After filling the bed in with a couple of more wheelbarrows of wood chip, I watered it all in to help it settle and keep it hydrated so it can break down over time. So that's really it for the build. I felt super empowered doing this myself and thinking it through from start to finish. Even though it's not the best or cleanest piece of work, it gave me a lot of confidence that I can figure things out as I go, and I don't need to feel so helpless when it comes to projects like this. In the past, it always seemed like something that I just wasn't handy enough to do or to understand, but I totally can. And if I can figure it out, I have no doubt that all of you can too. In the next video, I'll show you how I planted this raised bed with strawberries that I received from my Stark Brothers delivery, as well as a few proven winner Berry Treasure strawberry runners that I transplanted. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye.